Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 155 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, October 22nd, 2018.
I'm Marty, hunter and sport shooter in rural southern Ontario.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a husband and father of three. I'm a sports shooter and the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. I'm also the proud descendant of immigrants.
I'm Gavin, a business owner, hunter, atheist, gun enthusiast, and CCFR field officer for the GTA.
As always, I'm your host. My name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical. We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback, or you can email us feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. You can find the show on Stitcher and the iTunes.
Check the podcast out at Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and Instagram at Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
And we need your help. Support the show. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. Get a better quality of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better rewards are. As always, you can show that you are not a communist by buying a CPP t-shirt. For just $19.99 plus shipping and theft, visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link conveniently located to the right.
All right, it's time for my favorite segment. It's called What Are You Drinking? Every week, What Are You Drinking is brought to us by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you, no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Coors Banquet once again this evening. Tall boys this time instead of the little regular-sized cans.
Good stuff. Marty, what are you drinking?
I have an Oban 14 with water today.
Wait, are you drinking scotch?
I am drinking scotch today.
Wow. What brought that about?
A friend of mine gave me a bottle. Said this one was not as terrible as others I had tried. I would agree with. I would tend to agree with him.
Not as terrible. Does that mean it's still terrible? Just not as terrible, or?
It's not good. I wouldn't say it's good.
Okay.
But it's definitely the best of any I've tried. This has a lot less dirt taste to it.
Oh, nice. They got rid of the dirt taste.
Yeah.
You know, scotch is expensive because of the dirt taste, right?
I think we should start just doing a whole new podcast where we just review all kinds of different liquor.
We can't afford that podcast. We need your help to support our alcoholism. Visit patreon.com, and for the low price of, I don't know, $40 an episode, we'll drink a bottle of something.
Yeah.
Tell you how much or how little dirt it has in it.
Yeah.
I'm still disappointed in your lack of enjoyment of scotch, but that's just me. Tim, what are you drinking?
Drinking 40 Creek Copper Pot and reverse osmosis water. Not one gay frog.
I can't get over my board with my drops.
What do you think tap water is? It's a gay bomb, baby.
Took me a second to get the Alex button.
So
I'm drinking
water before the government adds the gay frog stuff.
Oh,
Yeah. Wow.
that's why you're not allowed to collect drinking rainwater.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
What those revenuers don't know won't hurt them. I'm drinking Crown Royal Maple because there's an open bottle, and my wife says I have to drink drink the alcohol that's open before I'm allowed to open more. So,
What?
yeah,
You'll
well,
never
she brought this on herself.
I'll talk to her.
So what
That's
you're
just
saying
like,
is you should just go and open all the bottles?
No, I just need to drink this entire bottle so I can have something different. That's all.
Jeez, what are you going
It
to do
reminds me of
tomorrow?
being a kid and, like, not being able to open the new box of cereal to get the toy out until the other box was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cereal toys. Wow, that's going back.
Yeah, remember when kids like were smart enough not to eat the toy and they were allowed
Yes.
to put them in there?
Total loss.
Yeah, now they're eating Tide Pods.
Well, they are brightly colored and look like candy to fucking idiots. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's talk about an upcoming event we've got this weekend. It'll be the Ragnarok Tactical sponsoring a 22 precision rifle match at the Guelph Rod and Gun Club on October 27th. The match fee is $40. Registration is closed, but if you want to get in touch with me, email the show, feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. I will hook you up. There are still some spots left. It's 50 rounds, 5 stages, distances between 0 and 100 yards. And I spent yesterday making props. I'll be spending my day off tomorrow sanding and painting the props. There will be many, many props.
And if you like how well they're made, you can give props to Andrew for such a fine job.
No, you really can't. They turned out quite poorly. I was trying to figure out why I was like suddenly super bad at jigsaws, and it turns out it was because that somehow when I installed the blade, I put it in crooked. I didn't even know you could do that. So
Well,
I couldn't figure out why my jigsaw kept like wandering off to the left. But
ooh,
Outside of the bearing
Yeah.
guide.
What you need is, where did you buy the blade? Because what you need is a straight jigsaw blade.
yeah, I definitely should have gotten the straight one. The gay one did not work.
Okay, well,
yeah, or at least one that curved off to the right.
Yeah, so strongly discourage the Bosch wood blades at home Despot. It did not work out for me.
That's what I think of those.
As do I. Do you guys want to rant briefly about your municipal elections? It's not the show notes, but I know there was much triggering to be had this evening.
I wanted to go more into your jigsaw work, but
Yeah, I
Just
could
do
probably
40
use that jigsaw to take care of some of the people that won some of those elections.
let's do 40 minutes on Andrew's jigsaw.
It's a
Jigsaw
very nice jigsaw. It's a Milwaukee M18, so it uses the M18 lithium series batteries. It runs for a really, really long time. It's quite a nice jigsaw. In fact, most of my tools are Milwaukee, both my personal tools and my work tools, which I get made fun of at work for regularly because I have the nicest tools out of anyone in my company because I was told I could have a tool budget. So I went and spent like $1,000 on tools for work because I refuse to use broken screwdrivers that wear down after the first time you put something together with them.
Yeah.
It's important to also mention that I do IT for a living, so I'm putting together like servers in racks and stuff. It is not demanding manufacturing work. So it's funny that everyone else that I work with uses like cheap Chinese shit that falls apart after the first time they use it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
part of
don't,
the
I don't
death
know
and
if I
pride.
can make 40 minutes out of this segment, Tim.
No, we're doing good. We got 38 to go.
Yeah. Let's keep
I just
rolling.
picked up a nice Milwaukee drill and driver set at TSC. It was on pretty good set.
Nice. Did you get the bonus battery? Because they do that sometimes.
Yep, the bonus battery in the bag, and it came in at $219. So
I
Nice.
don't care about
That's a
their
good deal.
bags, but that's because I put all my stuff in my own toolboxes. But
that's
the bonus battery,
Yep.
you
Their
should watch
bags have the
TSC.
little molly on them.
There is a company that makes that kind of stuff.
Oh, really? What's that company called?
Atlas something or other. I don't know. I'll get a link to it. I've got it somewhere.
Oh, I just
Multicam,
put my stuff in
Molly-
HSGI bags because Ragnarok
That works
Tactical
too.
sells high-speed gear products, so I sell high-speed gear bags. So I put my tools in those. Works good.
Yeah. No. But yeah, as for the municipal election, I am not thrilled that my current incumbent, I believe is the correct word, won and is now re-elected because I think she fits into the same category as my favorite liberal politician, Monsef, in that she is a cunt.
I was just going to say, it sounds more like an incumbent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was. I was watching a few cities somewhat closely because I was hoping that this would be a bit of a barometer for the federal election coming up, and that if there were a few more right-leaning politicians elected, that would be a good sign for the upcoming federal election. But it seems that was not the case. So I'm a little perturbed that Tory won by such a landslide in Toronto and that my Liberal mayor won as well.
It's first off, municipal elections, they don't get the turnout that you're going to see in a
Well, yeah, I mean, that was one thing I was hearing, that like they were complaining that, well, it's a good thing that it didn't rain today. It's like, really? Like, people are going to be that shitty that they don't go out and vote because it's raining?
So you don't get a lot of turnout for that, as well as with municipal elections, it's often very difficult to actually find out about your candidates.
Oh, yeah. I had to research like crazy to find anything.
Like, for example, like where I live, let's just say a lot of the candidates as well as the people don't really have internet or are internet savvy.
Yeah.
And so like, oh yeah, most of the candidates, like they don't even have a website.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a point in their favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for my area, it's all conservative anyway, so there's not really anybody else running, but
yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, like it's people just don't care as much, and to be honest, a lot of the time they don't have a whole lot of impact, but I've definitely seen some interesting excuses and things like that for people that didn't get out to vote.
Yeah. It's a good thing it didn't rain. Today's vote is made primarily of dextrose.
Yeah. Well, people that like, they should have ran the
was really
should have ran the polls for longer because they couldn't get out of work. And it's like the advanced polls have been open for like 2 weeks. I voted like 2 weeks ago. Like,
yeah, our municipality has the online elections and they've been open for a week.
Like you had plenty of time to figure your shit out to get out there and vote. Like if you didn't make it, you really didn't try. You have no excuse. But whatever. I've sufficiently ranted about that. I know we've got lots more to rant about. So.
Okay, well then, on with the news. Let's talk about guns.
Yay!
First article is from DennisYoung.ca. RCMP have no records to support claim of straw purchases. So everyone will likely remember we talked about this back in June. Sergeant Eric Stewart of the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team, or ALERT, that's the Alberta Guns and Gangs Enforcement Agency, was quoted at a press conference in June that we talked about, where he said that the main source of firearms are being purchased for criminals by other means, right? Like he was talking about straw purchases. So this is a thing that they talked about in Toronto, and this is a thing that's come up in other municipalities that want to talk about gun bans because criminals are using someone else to purchase legal guns for them, making them illegal guns. So through the magic of government and the access to information, Dennis Young submitted an access to information request, and the RCMP, they said they have no data to support that claim.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that this does happen. Like, there's been people that have been arrested for it, but by and large, the number of people doing that is so low that is not where we should be focusing on.
But they're not even tracking it.
Yeah,
but they don't even keep track of how many guns are straw purchased.
Yeah,
this is more bullshit statistics.
So easy to do.
This is the same statistics that like domestically sourced guns or any guns that they can't positively confirm that they came from a non-domestic source. Like this is more government.
The number's so low that it's not worth them even tracking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Insignificant.
You know what's strange though is if I'm not even finding a record of Eric Stewart on the Alberta Sunshine List. The whole thing is just suspect.
No, the whole thing is a sergeant, not a suspect.
How do we know that he's not a suspect?
Oh, that's a good point.
How do we know he's really a sergeant?
It's not in the show notes, but you guys see there was a couple of Toronto cops that got busted for corruption. So they're going to get, I think it was either 3 or 6 months paid suspensions. It was like 3 Toronto cops this week. I didn't put it in the show notes because I didn't care that much about Toronto, but
Yeah,
I did
saw
see
it.
that happened and it was funny.
Like, if you're a cop and you get busted for corruption, you shouldn't get suspended with pay. You should get fired. Like,
Yeah, we did on Liberty or Death. We did a special on corrupt cops, and there was one cop in Toronto who was going around and he would go and shake down drug dealers and steal from them. Him and like 3 other detectives from the homicide. And this guy was on paid suspension for over 10 years.
I saw this TV show. Didn't it have like that chitless guy in it? Is it?
No, I feel that we ought to Danny Deaver these guys. Anybody who is in a position of authority or public office and is found to be doing things that are corrupt, you don't even get like, it's not suspension, it's not drummed out. You get to do the Danny Deaver. Fucking hang them.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Problem is unions. Like the unions
Well,
have put it in some place that
I got a lot of hemp rope. I'm okay with the entire union.
Yeah.
Bunch of cake eaters down at the Union Hall.
Better get some axe handles, eh?
like people that like they always like they'll talk about the good that unions have done, but this is the bad that unions have done. Like they make this level of protection for the union protection is there for the people that are honest as well as people that are dishonest. There's no
it's gonna apply to the shittiest people. Yeah. If it wasn't for the unions, they'd still burn us for cordwood. Do you remember those days?
Speaking of burning things, let's talk about marijuana. Pot's legal in Canada now, eh?
Well,
so I got a couple of good ones because apparently now that this came from Facebook, there's three very succinct points on how the Liberal government. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's 3 very succinct points from Justin Trudeau's Facebook page about how the Liberal government has come through on their campaign promise to legalize and regulate cannabis across Canada. So there are 3 points. Now legal and strictly regulated. The Cannabis Act keeps our kids and communities safe. Remember this point for later in the show.
Yeah.
Takes profits away from criminals. And now allow me to tell you about an article that was in the Regina Leader Post. Kids will be able to possess weed under federal marijuana legislation.
Wait, but hold on. Didn't you say that these new regulations stop kids from getting weed?
Individuals from the ages of 12 to 18 will be able to possess up to 5 grams of marijuana before being criminally charged. So,
wait, but if it's legal, how could you be criminally charged?
Because you can only possess up to 30 grams as an adult. I'm so glad you asked, because pot's not legal. I know we're preaching to the choir. I'm sure there are many listeners who don't care about pot and don't care about us talking about pot, and I don't really care about pot, but I find it interesting to draw parallels and contrasts with other laws in Canada. I also enjoy that the Liberals are literally saying that the Cannabis Act will keep our kids safer. Meanwhile, they're allowing youth to possess cannabis. So,
can I just say how much I appreciate the Regina Leader Post for having like the picture of this is what 5 grams of marijuana looks like?
I mean, that's a question we've been curious about for a long time.
It is effectively a bushel.
Yeah.
So
I did not realize that cannabis was not dense. I mean, maybe this is a 5-year-old's hand holding it, so it's just like to scale and it looks like a lot of weed, but I mean, it says it's an employee, so my assumption is it's an adult male.
Five grams would be like a handful.
Yeah, I got a priest friend. I'll send him a picture of that hand and see if it's a 5-year-old's hand.
Ooh, that's... I don't even have a drop for that. That's just not good. Wait, no.
Yeah. We've got a drop for that priest. That's for sure.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Like I was reading this article, I'm like, man, like, is it 5 grams a lot? Like I'm like, oh, finally, like a fucking newspaper article that's like, yeah, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, like I mean, from my limited experience, I wouldn't say that it's a lot, but I wouldn't say that it's a little. Like that's more than a couple of doobies. That's for sure. You know,
Is that a Friday night?
I would say that's for some people that's a weekend. Like that's not just one night like of partying. That's a couple of days.
Is it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know we've talked to people about.
Well, I guess it all depends on like how much you smoke. Like, but
okay.
Most people don't roll up one giant, massive like gram joint. Like, and if they do, that's sort of smoked by several people.
You're saying a normal joint would be less than a gram, you figure?
Yeah, like I mean, if it's a Friday night and you're hanging with the boys and you roll up a joint, it might be a gram, but like that will be smoked between several people.
So the picture of the joint that the guy's smoking at the 2015 protest at the top of the article, is that like a gram or is that like a 2-grammer? That's a.
I mean, like think of it as like a gram would maybe be like a 6-pack of beer or something, if that helps.
Well, I will put it into different terms. So I went onto the Ontario Cannabis website and I was looking at marijuana to try and understand what the fuck is going on because my cursor's not working. So it seems that the average price from the Ontario Cannabis Store, and I have no idea how this compares to street market pricing for drugs, 1 gram on average seems to be around $10.
Yeah.
And the Ontario Cannabis Store sells it generally for the dried flowers in 1 gram, 3.5 gram, 7 gram, and 15 gram increments. And there's a slight discount by buying in bulk. So, 7 grams of the average weed is like $64. That doesn't seem like a lot of weed to me, but there's no dosing information in this, so I'm not sure how much you're supposed to consume in a session.
Yeah, so if I'm looking at this photo of this guy with the patchy goatee smoking that joint, I would say that is maybe a bit more than a gram, but close to. But like if he smoked that
will certainly help our audio only listeners.
But if he smoked that whole thing to his face, he would be very, very, very stoned. In my opinion, unless the guy smokes a lot all day, every day.
They're selling
in which case he would still
increments, but 30 grams is the legal limit.
Oh, I wonder if I can. Yes, I wonder if I can add how many I can add to my. I love this on the Ontario Cannabis Store, by the way. You don't add something to your cart; you add it to your bag. Whoever came up with their e-commerce platform, hat tip, sir.
They should have called it a bond.
Can you add like 3?
No, it tells me that I'm over the maximum limit.
So how many?
Now I have 100 grams in my bag. That's marijuana from my bag.
Oh, the cops are going to show up.
That'd be great if you can. It just gets delivered by the police.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Ontario Cannabis website store does limit. Oh my God, it runs on Shopify. Jesus. I can't sell guns on Shopify, but I can sell fucking government weed.
It's legal now, man.
I don't even have the words to describe what is going on right now. What the actual fuck?
So I have a question.
Have we talked about Shopify kicking all the gun stores off of it?
I don't know if we talked about that, but I guess brief primer for people that didn't know. Shopify has said that they don't want gun stores to be using Shopify or their payment processor Stripe or any of the other things that Shopify owns. Shopify is a Canadian brand based in Waterloo, by the way, for everyone on podcast land that doesn't know that, because it's very dangerous to allow people to buy firearms. But apparently we're okay with selling it to the government to allow them to sell marijuana. You know, this has been a Schedule I drug and banned for the last 100 years in Canada.
This is how we keep it away from my kids. Judge.
Well, you know what, though? The shipping is pretty good. It's only $6 to ship some pot.
It's very light.
Yeah.
Well, it's very light, but it's not very dense, so it'll still be a fair-sized box, and the shipping rates are calculated based on the size and mass of the package. It gets
cubed out, or the equivalent for much smaller weights.
I can just see all the sniffing dogs.
I am several flavors shocked and appalled about that there's no sniffing dogs in the plant. Just FYI.
Oh, yeah, but there is, though.
Mm-mm.
Well, there certainly won't be any more because
In my world.
Yeah.
Yes,
they
in
retired
not clown world, we would actually have drug dogs doing drug dog things.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So 12-year-olds
I
are
wonder.
allowed to
I'm
possess
really
up
tempted
to
to spend like
$50.
$400
Yeah.
and order some pot and see if it'll let me order like 2 orders of 30 grams like on the same day. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not going to, because what the hell am I going to do with 60 grams of pot?
Well,
Other
hang
than
on
felony-
to it. Hang on to it until the store gets sold out, and then up the street value and sell yours to people that are looking and want it now. Because I mean, I've seen.
Super mad that this is on Shopify.
I've seen.
What is the Ontario site? Is it like Ontario Weed Store or?
It's ocs.ca.
They
Ontario
should
Cannabis
have
Store.
gone with the weed store because that would have been fucking phenomenal. Like, but
What do you think everyone's going to refer to it as?
Yeah.
I like
They happily named the beer store the beer store.
Place that
Yeah.
I'm not buying my weed from, because
Yeah.
what was it they're
it's-
saying? There was a store in New Brunswick, and the first guy that walked out of it, Nick, was laughing. And he said he wasn't gonna pay that much for dope.
Yeah.
He's just
yeah, I have heard that for several provinces that the prices that the government is charging are not in line with street value.
Yeah. So there's one thing that I've learned with this whole thing is that a lot of people have a very different idea of what legal is than I do.
Oh heck yes!
And one of an acquaintance of mine today posted on the Facebooks about how they tried to go to their local dispensary, but the dispensary was closed because they're not allowed to sell anymore. And I was like, well, yeah, like if you don't buy it from the weed store, you can't, like, it's illegal weed. Like your legal weed that you used to buy from your guy or the dispensary is now double illegal. If you don't buy it government weed, the weed that you're in possession of is illicit weed and still illegal, and you will be charged. You can't smoke that anywhere. You can't be in possession of it. It's illegal. And they're like, but it's legal. I was like, no, no, it's not. Government weed is legal. All other weed is still illegal.
So how can they tell it apart?
I don't know. The names on it are ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I've been dealing with the names for a while, but the
Yeah.
so if you buy one of those packages, it's going to be like when you put when some people like putting like generic brand cereal back in the name brand box. You know what I mean? Some people are going to go buy once just to get that box, and then they'll carry around like big homemade fatties in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. The
just
arguments
like
that
the
are coming
worst
out from people are hilarious, though. Just
this is one of the worst websites I've ever seen. It's like everything I hated about the LCBO's website, but about marijuana. Godbud is a redecan that is an indica dominant hybrid with tropical flavor and mid-range THC potency. The fuck does any of that mean?
I think that's like when Marty describes Scotch as dirt.
A tropical flavor and mid-range
You're saying it's
THC.
accurate.
What the fuck?
It sounds
No,
like
I'm saying it's
it
ridiculous.
sounds like Marty. Yeah, it sounds like Marty was writing a Kijiji ad for a used lawnmower. Magnesium decked.
Oh, everyone knows the magnesium deck lawn boys are the best.
Yeah.
Well,
They
yeah.
are. would be
That's what I
selling that
just
shit.
said. I'm glad you're all sarcastically agreeing with me.
Dude, that's my wheelhouse. I was just down in the States looking at fantastic lawn boys.
Magnesium
Those
decking.
bastards will mow upside down.
Yeah.
Nice.
How do they
The
keep
mowing,
inches from flowing
the
up
mowing
upside
space.
Yeah.
So here's a
Yeah.
question: if I'm at a party, okay, and I inject myself with 3 marijuana bongs, when can I drive?
That's a good question, Tim. What's your body weight?
Oh, geez, I got to be like 80 pounds.
And have you eaten anything?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Whole bag of Cheetos, right?
Oh man, that's got to be.
I should just give her.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine.
It makes you a better driver, right?
Yeah.
Probably
Well,
calmer.
Except in
Definitely
certain
better at stealing stuff.
The worst
Yeah.
thing about driving is the road rages. So, like,
Yeah.
what about road munchies?
Coinciding with the marijuana legalization, a group of thugs decided to attack a legal cannabis grow operation.
Not only did they decide to,
They were successful.
they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a grow up in Durham region was attacked, and the workers were tied up. Vehicles were stolen, and later recovered some distance away from the grow up. The police report is unclear as to that distance. I guess measuring is not a thing that we do anymore.
They're probably too stoned.
Wearing ski masks of indeterminate ages and sizes, but yeah, I am shocked and dismayed that somebody is taking the legal weed from the legal grow ops and thieving it. That's
Turning it into illegal weed.
there is no way that I anticipated this was going to happen.
No.
Well, it's kind of like when everyone said, "Well, you should just all store your guns at the gun range. That way, no one needs a gun outside of the gun range. So why don't you store it?" And it's just like, and everyone's like, "Yeah, let's centralize it, and then someone will just break in and steal it all." Well, this is what happened.
Centralize the weed, and someone is broken
Yeah.
in.
Day freaking 3 of illegal government pot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they probably waited for day 3 because day 1 it was all gone because it got sold. They resupplied towards the end of day 2.
So I don't know. Again, I'm unclear as to how much weed this is because weed is not as dense as I thought it would be.
And again, they measured
made
it.
off
They took
with
several garbage bags. What is it with
Garbage
weed
bags?
bags? That's is
That
that
what,
That would be a
what
lot.
kind of garbage bags? Like 80-gallon contractor bags or like kitchen garbage bags?
I'm assuming like typical like the mid-size like homeowner, like not quite the like kitchen garbage one, but not like a big commercial, like just a regular sized garbage bag.
So that leads me to another question: is why are marijuana grow ops storing their processed marijuana in garbage bags in a shed? Or I guess this was in a barn, but same difference.
Probably because that's what they learned to do when they were growing it illegally.
I mean, I'm no government regulatory body, but wouldn't you think that Health Canada would have some rules around how medicinal products are cultivated?
Well,
I'm
speaking
assuming
of
they weren't stored in the garbage bags. They just took several garbage
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they brought the garbage bags with them, filled them up from the storage facility.
but speaking
Yeah,
of
we have
government
we have different assumptions about that because I think they were stored in the garbage bags.
It would not surprise me either way. I'll just say that.
Speaking of government regulations, though, there's certain rules about like violence and harassment in the workplace, and it sounds like they hung these people out the freaking, they just have a bunch of people just farming pot and sticking it in barns, storage barns, and then, like they're just like sitting ducks out there for like these French accented 40 to 45-year-old males that are 5'10" tall. 140.
Ski
Well,
masks,
hopefully this
yeah.
won't happen now, though, right? Because now you can only have maximum of 30 grams on you.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to take it. They wouldn't be able to take a full garbage bag's worth.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm unclear exactly how much a garbage bag full of pot would weigh because it's
you
not
got
as
them there.
dense as I was expecting. So
That'd
maybe
be a
that was
lot
only
less,
30
though.
grams.
No, that a garbage bag is a lot. Like a lot.
More or less than a bushel.
Like kilograms. Like if they took
I would say a garbage bag is probably approximately a bushel.
Well, a bushel seems like a lot of marijuana.
Yeah, a garbage bag would be like a lot of pot.
So luckily we have a new law now that would prevent this from happening.
Yeah. Well, and also we've got a lot of
Problem solved, guys.
Well, we've got a lot of municipalities that are now prohibiting the smoking of the marijuana. So you'll be allowed to get in possession of it.
Yeah.
But the guys, they'll be able to steal it, maybe, but they won't be able to smoke it anywhere.
But I can just see these guys like break in there, steal all the stuff, and then just like laugh at each other and just go, "It's legal now."
Yeah.
Let's do one more marijuana article from the Star. Ottawa moves to pardon Canadians convicted of pot possession as legalization takes effect.
Why?
Yeah.
It was illegal at the time.
And
Yeah, like if
what
it-
they did is still illegal today.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what the pardon is for, because they're talking about pardoning people that would not be convicted of criminal possession of marijuana under today's new law.
But there was no legal marijuana then.
Yeah. Did they buy that?
I agree.
Did they buy the marijuana from the government? If they bought it from the government, then we can excuse them. If they did not buy it from the government, then it's just as illegal as it is today.
Yeah, I mean, it all
Like,
depends.
let's be honest.
Yeah, if you're talking about a guy that was like caught with a couple of joints on him or whatever, no big deal. But like 30 grams of pot is a lot of pot.
At what point does it become trafficking?
Well, typically more than like less than 30 grams or whatever. Like if you got used to get caught with like an ounce of weed, which is what 30 grams of pot roughly is, right?
I believe it's trafficking as soon as the government thinks that you're cutting into their
tax dollars. Yeah. Yeah. But like,
yeah.
I mean, if you
Strong possibility.
if you used to get caught with an ounce of weed, that would have been trafficking. So like if that's what you're allowed to purchase legally now.
Oh, anything more than you can purchase at once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I mean, and like an ounce of like in my brief career smoking marijuanas, only once or twice did I ever buy in an ounce quantity because that was a substantial amount of marijuanas. And it would usually be like buddies of would all pitch in and like just split it so that like we're getting the best buy for our buck.
Yeah. This is like the Costco of marijuana.
So economy of scale works when you're dealing with illegal marijuana retailers?
Yeah.
Wow,
Interesting.
Sounds like the free market.
Yeah.
I bet the discounts are better than they would be through the Ontario Cannabis Store.
Much better.
And better logos.
Speaking of which, why do I have to browse by sativa or indica or hybrid?
Those are two types of strains.
The same as you're looking at the Ford website or the Chevy website. They're both cars, but they're not the same cars, I think.
Yeah. So an indica is when we think of pot.
Yeah, no, I'm cutting this off. I don't care about pot. We're moving on.
Also, okay, why are they showing me pictures of the leaves if I want to buy the buds?
Yeah, still not doing this. Let's what have I done to my show notes? Oh my gosh.
I also like that they have the shop hybrid and it's the two leaves fucking.
Yep, we're definitely moving on. Toronto Sun article. Ontario bill aims to strip returning terrorists of provincial privileges. I'm sure by now everyone has heard about the announcement that happened today. For a reminder for everyone out in podcast land, this is the 4th anniversary of the murder of Nathan Cirillo, a corporal who was guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier in Ottawa at the hands of an Islamic terrorist. You know, somebody who literally claimed to be fighting for ISIS. But our federal government has decided that they're going to be repatriating a number of these Islamic terrorists back into Canada because they're going to be a strong voice for change in Canada, whatever the fuck our prime minister was smoking when he said that. Fortunately, there's a private...
Interesting that comes right after the pot legalization thing, right? It's like almost like they waited until there was something to distract the people.
It's almost like that. So there are 200 Canadian passport-holding members of overseas terrorist groups trying to return to Canada. A dozen of them being held in Syrian detention camps and various other places around the world. They are trying to return to Canada. There's a private members bill that's been introduced in Ontario. It's called the Terrorist Activity Sanctions Act, and I'm 100% in favor of this. This is from Dave Smith. He's the MPP for Peterborough-Kawartha. His idea with this act is that if these people return to Canada, they get no government services if they reside in the province of Ontario. They get no driver's licenses. They don't get OHIP coverage, so no health care, no student loans, no grants, no disability income and housing support, no rent geared to income under the Housing Services Act, and no WSIB coverage. And kicker, they might be separated from their children because dependent children would be considered in need of protection under the Children, Youth, Family Services Act in Ontario. So I'm 100% in favor of this. Every province ought to be adopting this because if the Liberal government in Ottawa will not punish these people for joining terrorist organizations, I am all for the provincial governments taking this on and just making them not people. They are unpersoning the returning terrorists, which is the next best thing.
Yeah.
Isn't Doug Ford just doing far more than you ever expected him to?
I know. I can't like. I really. What the fuck? I love living in Ontario. All of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can look down in Albertans for once.
Finally.
Yeah. I mean,
I never thought that day would come.
I know. You guys with your land and your oil money.
I mean, the Alberta
Yeah.
listeners, I appreciate all of you guys, and I mean, I'm sure most of you work in the patch and are productive members of society, but the retards that your neighbors with done you wrong.
yeah, but most of those people probably don't actually come from Alberta. They probably come from like out east somewhere, and they're just living in Alberta. But you know, all 6 of you guys that listen from Alberta, we love you guys.
No, I like Alberta, and it just like just as someone who's been stuck in freaking red Ontario for 15 years. No, I like Alberta. That would be definitely one of the provinces I would probably the first. If I was going to move to a different province, I would look at Alberta.
Well, once they fix themselves.
Once they un-NDP their government, we should probably revisit that at some point, because I think we've talked about that on the show before, where we would go, if not the place that we currently live in. Alberta is probably the top province in Canada for everybody on the panel.
Although Ontario is pulling ahead, man.
Yeah, Ontario's doing all right.
4 more years.
I'm good with it. Like, if we can't prevent these people from entering the country because the federal government wants to let them back in, I'm okay with the provincial government unpersoning them. No more services. You don't get. I saw one article. It wasn't the Sun article, but there was another article that I read. They won't even give them hunting licenses under this bill.
Why would?
I mean, I don't imagine there's a lot of ISIS people that are applying for hunting licenses, but hey, take away all their stuff.
People that would apply for ISIS hunting permits, though.
Yeah, a couple of 3.
Oh, I know I'd be a lot more successful on that hunting trip than I was this weekend.
Didn't go well.
It was really, really cold and raining the entire time, so it was kind of miserable. But it was good to sit around with my old roommate and drink beer by the fire. So in that part, it was successful.
Call it a win.
Let's
Let's
let's guns, but you know.
Let's do another segment here. I've got something new. It's called Canada Man. It's based on my favorite news reports. Usually it's on U.S. media, and it starts with Florida man was found, or Florida man did. Well, now we have Canada Man.
Yeah.
We have 2 Canada men this week. The first one.
Yes, slightly less methed up than Florida man, but a close second.
Close. A naked man who jumped into Shark Tank at Ripley's Aquarium wanted for assault at medieval times. LOL, what?
That gets around.
It is not in this article, but this individual that was caught jumping naked into the Shark Tank at the Ripley's Aquarium in Toronto twice over the weekend has been released from jail on bail pending a further court date. It turns out that he is also wanted for an assault that took place in the medieval times in the Toronto area.
Was he in the arena at the time? Because if he was, that even count as an assault. I mean, that's just part and parcel of the jousting, isn't it?
No, it was outside of the medieval times, and the paramedics and police reports differ very wildly between what they say was happening. The police say that the victim was taken to hospital with serious injuries, and the paramedics say that they attended to a scene where there were minor injuries. So,
of a naked man with a shark bite on his.
So one the lawyers got to him.
Yeah.
On his medieval land.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, good job, man from BC, jumping into the Shark Tank twice while not wearing clothes.
I like that. And then security told him to get out of there, and then he left.
Yeah.
After jumping in for.
Yeah, not by force or anything else, just of his own free will, he just left.
Get out of there, eh?
Thanks, security.
Oh, okay.
Could you please not swim with the sharks?
Yeah. He went up there. He put his thermos down, walked over, and said, "Can you don't?"
Yeah. Take off, eh?
Jeez, man. Don't make me get my flashlight.
Yeah. I will
Sir,
radio this into my superior.
Please stop accosting the sharks, please.
I mean, the guy's just lucky that they didn't think that his ding dong was a shrimp or something, you know, and just come up and eat it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the sharks at Ripley's are well fed. They're probably not vicious animals.
No, but that would have been way funnier.
Yes, definitely. So, from what I understand, this individual from BC is now out on bail. That's a good time. Also, an article that came out in the CBC last week. 2 charged after they allegedly fed Timbits to bears along BC's Alaska Highway. This is going back from 2017. The Peace BCCOS, which is the outdoor service. And I love the CBC article. There is literally a picture of someone feeding a bear a Timbit.
Yay!
So allegedly, indeed.
Well done, Tim Hortons.
Well, was that the guy that's in trouble, or did they go out and get like a guy to go take a photo? Because if that guy could get in trouble, so
yeah. Apparently, you're not supposed to feed the wildlife.
yeah.
Don't feed the wildlife hot dogs or Timbits. Apparently, that is bad. So the 2 people that did this, the 2 Canadian people that did this, are going to be up on charges for violating a wildlife protection thing.
Yeah.
So
My
I
guess
understand why they don't want people doing this. It's like they don't want bears getting friendly and approaching people, because then people are going to call in and they're going to end up having to remove this bear or shoot this bear because it's coming around people. So I get it. At
And
the
then
same time,
then they'll start
I don't know
stealing
if-
all those picnic baskets, you know?
exactly. All those the Timbit baskets. At the same time, though, like I don't know, like to get charged for this. Like these people obviously didn't know and didn't think about what they were doing. Like I feel like this is something that could have just been handled by, police or Ministry of Wildlife, whatever, and just kind of making a statement and telling you guys to fuck off.
Like, but not even that. Like, okay, if I'm like the park ranger and I'm there and I see a guy handing a bear a Timbit, yeah, I'll go over and like be like, dude, seriously, like, nah, like, fuck off. Don't do this. Well, maybe if I'm there, issue them like a small fine. But, like the time and energy spent to like track somebody down to do this, for what?
I posted on their Facebook page. I'd imagine the tracking down is relatively
But
simple.
even that, like, at that point, it's too late. Nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
Like, go after an actual poacher or something, that someone that's actually doing something wrong and harming something.
But this article has been changed, because I read this article. I think if this is the first article posted to the group chat, wasn't it? Is this the first? Okay,
possibly.
Because there used to be and I bet you they took it out, but there used to be a line where he said, "Our big concern with people feeding bears is once a bear becomes habituated to people, and he starts like he just assumed the bear's gender." Jesus Christ! Once he starts,
that's it. No, Tim, I'm done. I'm out. No, you triggered me. That's it. Yeah.
Going to New Zealand. Once he starts associating people with food and they become a danger to the public, he said in an interview Wednesday. But then he went on and they have a saying about it, and he said, "Whoever basically when they're fed, they're dead." Like if this bear, if you feed this bear, like they basically it's just a matter of time before they have to put it down. Like,
is that because it's brown?
Yeah.
No, this was a grizzly bear.
Yeah, this is Ursus arctos horribilis.
Your Latin is atrocious.
Thank you. I make shirts.
Some of which have Latin on them.
Some of them, the best ones.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some rapid fire feedback. We've got an email this week from Alex. The subject is catching up on old episodes.
Oh, I thought it would be about gay frogs.
Different Alex.
Okay. That would be awesome.
I was listening to your older episodes on iTunes. I got to episode 65, watching in reverse order, and I could not stop laughing at about 18 minutes and 50 seconds into the show, talking about sloppy rods on the M1A. Speaking of grands, being a French Canadian myself, I think that somehow I should be doing this in a French accent. I'm sorry.
There's your
Thinking
frog.
of myself as a French Canadian.
Yeah.
Where was I in the thing? Being a French Canadian myself, I think that I know some of the relatives. They did make shovels under a similar name, and they did speak of a relative who got rich by selling his product to the United States and moving there. So, I mean, that could be the grand guy is Canadian, and he did move to the States after selling something to the Americans. So, could be him. Thank you, Alex, for your feedback.
I'm curious if I can crack the code, and perhaps it's the Garant shovels that he's referring to.
Possibly.
It could be. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, Grant shovels.
Are they good shovels?
Yeah, they're nice, well-tempered, made in Canada. Aren't they made in Canada?
Should I add one to my tool bag at work?
Yeah, I think that'll definitely help you install a server.
Excellent. I will purchase one immediately.
And make sure you add an M1 Garand to your tool bag as well.
Yeah, if that is true, that's a random bit of information. I didn't realize that was the same, like Garant and Garand as being the same. Like I never made that association of them. The shovel people being the same as the rifle people.
We need to get more of the rifle people.
Yeah, the two go hand in hand, really.
Well, you know what you could do now though is use one of those shovels and turn it into an AK.
No, that would be prohibited. I can't make an AK.
I mean, dig up your fields. And
I could make an AK, but I would not illegally make an AK.
What if you made a Valmet then?
Lawyers?
Lawyers.
Yeah,
lawyers.
My lawyer's saying no. Okay.
My insurance guy says yes, and also we should shoot someone while they're wearing body armor.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know about our insurance guy.
You guys have interns. I have a lawyer now. After I made that Eskimo joke last week,
as we all should.
Got him on retainer.
I hope that as we do like more digging into this family, we find out like all the random businesses they're into. So there's another relative that's expert in rope making.
I was thinking, hemp will save the world.
Yeah. Some sort of oak timber beam salesman.
Yes.
Yeah.
But where do you buy your bulk lime?
At the Tractor Supply, like everybody else.
We have the best bulk lime.
All right. I don't have anything else in the notes. Do you guys have anything you wanted to discuss? No? Excellent. Let's wrap this up. Gavin, where can everybody find you on the internet?
The best place to find me is Instagram at urbex_GTA or in person next Saturday at the 22 match.
Excellent. You're going to be a winner, right?
Always.
Yeah, no, but for real this time, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Excellent. Marty, where can everybody find the show?
A 22 match next weekend.
Close enough. Tim, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at facebook.com/TimsGoodT-shirts.
You can find me at Ragnarok Tactical. You should buy some first aid supplies. Yes, we're horribly sold out. Yes. I'm going to rectify that. I'm waiting on an order to come in from our suppliers. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka this week. I'm afraid we could not fit him in. One crazy man from BC was enough for the show tonight. Now that landed hard. All right.
No, that was good. I liked it.
Did I like it? Lawyer says no. I didn't like it.
Lawyer says no. Magic 8 Ball says try again later. The Magic 8 Ball cannot be your lawyer. Just so you know that.
Okay.
I need a new lawyer.
Yeah, and I need a new project manager, but hey, shaking the Magic 8 Ball makes me feel better.
Outlook not likely.
For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.